Okay, this is one of the most difficult positions in this set. We have an endgame, rook and pawn versus rook. We are the defending side, we have one pawn less, and general rule for this endgame is this: if our king, we are white, if our king is very far from the promotion square, then we are favorite to lose the game. But if our king can reach the promotion square, c1 or c2, let's say, then the position should be a draw. Although there are some exceptions to this. If our king is not too far, if our king is reasonably close to the promotion square, then white is usually still able to make a draw. So even if black king reaches, for example, c2, and our king is on a1 or a2, we still have great chances to make a draw. It's important to mention that our king should be on the short side. I mean, this rule is a little bit advanced. So we have the pawn on the c-file. C-file divides the chessboard on two parts. This is so-called long side, and then we have the short side. Let's mark it green. So our king should generally be on the short side. We want to keep the long side open for possible checks with our rook, because our rook cannot efficiently check from the short side. Black's king just attacks our rook and gains some critical tempi. Okay, so this is the basic philosophy. Our king is very close now, and we should be able to make a draw. So we have a few interesting moves that we can make here. Let's start with the king moves. One very bad move would be king f1. We don't want to move away from the promotion square. We want to block opponent's pawn with our king. If we do this, we are going to lose the game. Now, what should black do exactly? Maybe he can play, for example, like this. Our king should probably... Now black's idea is to come with the king, maybe push the pawn, and this position is winning. Can our king come back somehow, get closer to this pawn? Probably not. Let's try to do this. Black just enters with his king. We come here. Black checks us. We have to go to the other side. And then black slowly pushes his pawn forward. This is the typical winning idea. Let's go here with our rook. White can do nothing more but wait. Black usually gives one check to make our king go even further. We reach the most typical position where black should first push his pawn forward even more. So white can never stop this. And then once our pawn is on the second rank and white makes some waiting move, we should build so-called bridge. Now let's show you. I probably most of you know how to build the bridge, but let's show you what the point is. So first, if you try to just move the king with an idea to promote and win the game, white is going to give some annoying checks like this. And then at some point we have to return, go back, and go back in front of the pawn, and then white might just wait, for example, like this. So in these positions, we first lift our rook to the 5th rank. It's an interesting thing to do. And now our idea is to move the king. And after these checks, we want to come here. And once we are checked one more time, we can use our rook to block the check. And then our pawn will inevitably queen, and black wins here. So this is so-called building the bridge. White might try, for example, to make a waiting move here, but then we can still cut the c-file and definitely queen our pawn. So that's basically our winning strategy with black pieces here, in case white does a wrong move like king f1, for example. White can do many other things that are wrong as well. For example, a waiting move with the rook. Black is probably going to do something like this. And then we cannot approach with our king. This is not possible because we are getting mated. So let's say we check from here, go back, black pushes the pawn, we do some waiting move, black will do like this, we can only wait, check, and then again one more time building the bridge. That's why building the bridge is so important, because This is one of the most important winning methods in this endgame, rook and pawn versus rook. So we have the bridge and we win the game. So any waiting move we lose in very similar way. If you try to give the check, okay, that looks a little bit interesting. We are attacking opponent's king, but of course opponent's king is just going to move forward a little bit, and there's again nothing that we can do. But wait, if you try to approach with the king, there's a check. Then black will do something like this, for example. We cannot come closer with the king because of this check. In this case we lose the rook, so our king cannot come closer. So we will check again and do some waiting moves like this. Again black is going to kick us away, just a little bit. Then push this pawn to the second rank, and one more time build this beautiful bridge. Okay, let's this time try to wait here. Black goes like this, cuts off the rook and wins one more time. So let's go back to the original position. This check doesn't work. Any waiting move, nothing works. Now there is one special. There are two interesting options actually. White would actually love to have his king on c1. That's the perfect square, just in front of enemy pawn. And the perfect square for our rook is h3. Now which move should we do the first? Let's try first to go with our king to d1. And then black will go king c3. This is very important. And he wants to check us, and then our king has to go away from the c1 square and has to stay on the long side. With our king on short side, somewhere like a2, probably we'll be able to save. But now we cannot stop the check. If you make a waiting move, black will check on g1 and then again push the pawn and finally create the bridge. So let's say we try to check from here. It doesn't help. Black king goes here, and we cannot stop pushing the pawn, checking, and black king is on the right place. Let's try to do this and try to check the black king from here. You can take a few moments and try to think how to win with black pieces. Should black push this pawn or not? Well, probably not. If black pushes that pawn check, our king comes to the perfect square c1 in front of the enemy pawn, and white can actually save the game. But in this particular position, black has a very strong check, and now if we move away, then black will always win by doing this and then building the bridge. But in case white comes to d2 with his king, then we have this nasty check. White cannot stop this pawn from promoting. Even if he comes here, black might do something like check. Regardless of the square, we do this. And if white checks, we'll just slowly get closer to the white's rook and then finally promote the pawn, win material and win the game, of course. So I'm going back to the initial position. King d1 looked very interesting, but it's not the right move. What we need to do is rook h3. We want to cut black's king on the third rank, and now it's very interesting that black can never win this game. The most important basic defensive setup is we want to come with our king to c1 and pretty much just wait. Let's illustrate this first. Let's say we have time for that. We reach the c1 square and get this basic drawing position. This is what we should aim for every time we have a position where we have a rook versus rook and pawn. We put our rook on the third rank and then we just wait. There's nothing black can do. If he waits, we wait as well. What else could black try? Black cannot come forward with the king. He would love to come forward with the king, but there is no way he can do it. If he tries to cut the communication, to kick our rook out of the third rank by doing something like this, we can always trade as long as our king is on c1, and then we go king c2. Now, important thing that you should know about this particular pawn endgame: whenever we have king versus pawn, if our king comes on this square just in front of the king, or the next square, this one is good as well. Both of these squares are always good enough for a draw unless our king is on the final rank. When our king is on the final rank, we have to calculate precisely. But before that, if black pawn is on c4, like in this example, any position where our king is on c3 or c2 is always a draw, regardless of the position of black's king. So black cannot trade the rooks ever. So what is he going to do? The only thing, he might try to circle around with his king a little bit. We can just wait. We have other options, but we can just wait. And black cannot come forward. He cannot. If he plays a rook move, usually we will do something like this, although it's not completely necessary. White can make a draw without this too, but usually we'll just improve our king a little bit, and then black should probably check again, then we come back. There's nothing he can do. There's only one move left for black, and that's pushing this pawn. Now, in case you know how to make a draw here, that's great, and in case you don't, take a few seconds and try to think. White has one important idea here, because black has a huge threat. He wants to come closer with the king and then checkmate with his rook. Now we shouldn't be waiting for black to do this, because if you make a waiting move, or let's say this check, black will come here threatening with this checkmate, and now we are forced to make the passive defense. Passive defense means that we are waiting on the first rank with both our king on our rook. Unfortunately for us, this only works in case where black has one of these 4 pawns. But for 4 central pawns it doesn't work, and the reason is the following. Black has enough space on the other side to make this checkmate, and we cannot stop it. If we do this, of course black will push his pawn, check, and take our rook, and later easily win. So in this position we have to play the starting position. Let's go back to the starting position. We have to play rook h3 on the first move, but black is now probably not going to just wait. If he just waits, we bring our king to c1. He has nothing else to try but push this pawn, or maybe he can maneuver his king around a little bit, but it's not going to help. Let's do this one more time. And now he can only play this pawn with an idea to come here with the king and checkmate, or win thanks to this maneuver. But now here the most important move for white, of course, only once black pushes this pawn, we want to go with our king to the other side of the board, and these checks don't help, so black might try to do something like that. But now we can just simply check forever. Black king has no place to hide. We can just check forever, and only if black king goes somewhere very far, something like this, then we can attack the pawn, and with the help of king and rook we will easily eliminate this last pawn. So let's go back to the starting position. Once we go rook h3, stopping black's king from coming, black might try to do something, but what? Can he do anything? Actually not. He might try to push the pawn, and now it's very important to not just wait, because black has this winning idea, so we have to hurry up. And after this we have to play the precise move. Now this would still lose. If we come to the c1 square, black will do this, threatening checkmate, then go from the other side, finally push the pawn, check, and we now win the rook. So after we play rook h3 and black pushes the pawn, we come once, he comes with the king. We shouldn't come with the king. Now it's the right moment to open the rook to the other side of the board, and black simply doesn't have enough time to do something like this, then kick our king out. If he checks, we go here, and it's an easy draw. If he tries to come closer with the king, luckily for us we have this great check, and the black king has to go back or somewhere here, but now the position is an easy draw. This pawn is not a great threat anymore. So that's it. That's all that I could say more or less about this position.